everything is changed. Because the reason that time the Chinese government started the political campaign called Great Leap Forward. So the Great Leap Forward, then one of the particular campaign called religious reform. So the religious reform, the the cadre and the, those officials directly attacked the religion, no matter what kind of religion, like Christianity or Muslim, and also particular our cases, the Tibetan Buddhism. So after that campaign, that's monasteries, totally shut down, and the lots of the things from monastery confiscated, so-called confiscated. When I was young, I can remember those things. One group of people came and they just kind of registering everything and counting everything. Then they took away. Then we're wondering where they come from. Like that, they said, oh, they're from the confiscation bureau, like a confiscating thing. Oh, okay. Then every day is coming like that. So then they, took months to months and took everything away like that. Then after that, had that big meeting. Then one day, they start to arrest the monks. So anyway, I don't want to go to those details because the time is very limited. So then after that, the older monks and our spiritual leaders and the abbots and everyone was arrested and put in jail, and the young monks have to forcefully disrobed and work in the fields, or went to school, or went to somewhere and went back home. So I was into a Chinese school. In my book I have this picture. I'm wearing that's kind of that's Zhongshan, which is in the West called Mao suit, like that. So went to school. So then early 60s, so there's a big famine in China. So actually not the famine by the nature, by the political reasons, political causes. So thousands of people died. We don't have food to eat, like eating green grasses eventually. Then when I talk this story to our young generation, young people, they don't know why that kind of thing happened. They're just wondering. They say, why you didn't eat the food? You should eat the food. Why you didn't eat the food? So we don't have a food to eat like that. So anyway, so that's those are one of the reasons I would like to read that or write this book. So then soon after that, then the Cultural Revolution started. When Cultural Revolution started, that's, not only the monastery, all school and the other, the cultural heritage and everything attacked by the Red Guards. So then everything's gone. So I was working in the fields as hard labor, Then, so 16 years. So anyway, those time, even this time, in my book, not just only kind of a sad story, but that's the teachers. We really inspired those my teachers. Some of my teachers in that camp were together. They wearing one of very important teacher. My teacher is my uncle. It's Arjia Rinpoche, who is the 10th Panchen Lama's tutor. He wears a hat. So that's with hat means sometimes, they denounce you have to wearing this hat, but I don't think he really wearing this hat, but they just recognize that you have a hat, so that means like you don't have any freedom, you're a bad person, like that. And then he always educated me, and encourage us like that, and then how to deal with those kind of suffering and the stress during those hard time. So he is my example and the mentor. So I really studied with him, and through those years, then eventually there's no hatred with the Chinese government. Even kind of when we after that Cultural Revolution, we have a conversation. Then he always say that, oh, that's somehow I always appreciate the Chinese government. Why? If I, as a Lama, I'm staying a wonderful place, then my life is comfortable and everything's wonderful. But I never learn, how they, the farmers and nomads, working very hard to, produce the food and everything, So that's why I learned something. I'm really appreciate like that way. So that's kind of a message for us. It's very, very important. Then eventually I kind of learned that thing too. One example, for instance, one of our team leader, he's really mean, Then one time I was sick. Then I asked him permission, I want to go to the town and check the, a doctor. Then he said, no, you pretending, you're nothing, you're okay, you have to work. Then I'm really kind of upset, mad, but I can't express, Then really, kind of sad, almost like crying. Then after that's our work done and over, then he said, okay, now you can go. Then already too late. But then when I ran to that hospital, they already closed. Then I really almost crying, like that's what's happened to me, like that. So then after the Cultural Revolution over, then some young monks came, and he was a monk. He still that time as a monk. Then, front of those young people, he always said, "I always taking care of him, right? You right?" Like that. Then I have to. What's I gonna say? Then I say yes, yes, like that. So I have to say yes. So anyway, that's kind of thing. That's really encouraged me. Later, then we become really a friend. That's a true friend, or I don't know, but become friend. So anyway, that's kind of thing for us during that hard time. How to kind of survive. Those are really important. So that's why all of them there. So then after 80s, the whole thing changed because the Mao Tse Tung passed away, the Deng Xiaoping on the authority, and they called the open policy. So then His Holiness delegation came at the very, that's almost 10 years, 80s to 90s. I always call that's a golden time. So that's really a wonderful time we had. So that's, if that time still can remain, maybe one day, His Holiness can visit his place and went back to China, maybe, So that's kind of hope we had, but unfortunately, after that, bad things continue happened. Panchen Lama passed away in 1989. Then after that, then that's the Tiananmen Square happened. So I would like to describe that's a story, maybe a little bit. So I don't know the time, but you can stop me any moment, So then 1989, all of a sudden, Panchen Lama passed away. Then I'm not there, but my uncle's there. We all left. So then after that, I asked my uncle, what's happened? What's happened? Like that. That's really a, interesting story. In my book, I mentioned those details. So then after that, then the Chinese liberal leaders, very supportive. So then right after that, I had the search